What's up, you guys? So welcome to part 3 of my series of my dating history. And for today's video, well, we can get rid of this because I don't need it. So what's up, you guys? So my name's Alex Gervasio. I'm a travel photographer, and for today's video, we're going to continue my 3-part series on my dating history. So for today's video, you guys, I'm going to be speaking about what I've learned and what advice do I have for anyone who is currently dating or anybody who's young and who is starting to date. Let's go ahead and get into it, you guys. In order to make this video to make sense, I have to start off with my 6-year relationship that I had. So basically, after I was dating and all of that, I ended up finding somebody, like I said in my last video, his name was Daniel, and to this day I've not met anybody like him. Because he really respected me. He really listened to me when I needed to. We were both really there for each other when we mostly needed. Like I said before, I was having a hard time with coming out, with my family, my parents specifically, and he had just lost his father. So we're both dealing with things that were really heavy, and I guess we're just both there for each other. Me and him met in Chicago area, and we immediately hit it off. Like, we were inseparable after that, and we ended up, so like I said, I don't want to make this video extremely long, but we ended up moving from Chicago area to Southern Illinois after 2 or 3 years of being together. We're living together, and then basically he wanted to be closer to his mom and be there for her, so we both moved in with his mom. That lasted for about a year. We basically, like I said, moved down to Southern Illinois, and I loved it here ever since. But when we moved down here, things were good. Things were better between me and him as a relationship as a whole, but we were just kind of slowly drifting apart and becoming roommates. And that's how I felt, honestly, towards the end. To this day, Daniel's he's one of my best friends, because he's had my back with a lot of things, and he's the one who helped me get out of my modeling contract. So yeah, I feel like I owe him a lot to this day. So things just didn't work out. We were actually engaged the last 3 years of us being together, and I just felt like we were roommates. So you guys, I've said a lot about my experience with other people being bad, but I failed to say that I wasn't faithful to him and I did cheat on him. Unfortunately, it's not right, and I advise people to be honest with the other partner, with the other person, and just tell them how they're feeling. If they're not feeling it, just let them know. And like I said, he's never done anything to me. Things just didn't work out. So when things ended, I just felt like an asshole. You know what I mean? I apologized so much, and I came clean to him about me cheating, and he wanted to move on from it, but I was just like, no, dude, this is just not gonna work. We're just roommates. I don't want to sound like it's all about me and I wasn't happy, but we both were unhappy, and there was times where we were eating dinner many times and just didn't say much to each other because I was in a crappy mood mostly, and I can recognize that, and I take accountability for that because I was kind of a shitty person sometimes, in the sense that I was just in a bad mood, and I just nobody deserves that silent treatment or the way I was treating him before. So anyway, but I basically just told him in 2016, hey, we really came clean. We had this long talk, we both cried and all of that, and I just told him, I'm like, look, I just want to be by myself, and that's what happened. I was single, and I immediately started dating a lot of people, mostly off Grindr, and people that knew me from Facebook that, just liked me, but I was always with somebody for a long time. So the first guy we're going to start off with is Jason. So Jason was there for me as a friend when I was starting on my own and stuff like that. And I don't know, we had a lot in common. We had things in common and stuff like that. We hit it off pretty decent, but I feel like he was really controlling in a sense and manipulating, because just there was a few times where I just wanted my own space and he wouldn't give it to me. And one time I we hung out, we went out to dinner or whatnot, and he insisted on like coming inside, and I was like, no, like, you know, you're just dropping me off, I don't want you to come inside. And that turned into a whole fight. So that's what happened with that. Never talked to that person again. I think I blocked them, and you know, but anyway, I was just dating people on and off, you know, mostly through Grindr. We're gonna go back to that 6-year relationship that I was with at the time, and this was back in 2017. So literally the only reason why I decided to go back to that 6-year relationship, the only reason why I decided to even bring it up that I was like still wanting to get back with this person of 6 years, was because he had a roommate, little twink, you know, young guy, and I basically was extremely jealous, extremely upset about the situation. I felt like I was just rejected, thrown off to the side. You know, my ex, he told him, you know, I was gonna come back and live with him, and he needed to find his own place. So basically I moved back in summer of 2017. I think it was June. So we lasted June, July, and August of 2017, and almost September. And basically, you guys, things were, I don't know, like this time around things were just a little messier. He had his own ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and we just bumped heads a lot the second time around, like a lot more than the first time. And anyway, just things were really bad, and I just, you know, I'm like, look, dude, like, I'm sorry. I felt like an asshole again because I went back and restarted things with him and made him think that there was going to be something there again. And I really thought there was, but I don't know. Like I said, I was just really jealous, and I was really upset. We quickly, I guess, fell out of love. So like I said, things just didn't work out with me and Daniel. And actually, I failed to mention that before I told him that things were working out, I actually was unfortunately had my eye on someone else, and his name was Dennis. So me and Dennis were friends, I guess. We liked each other, but we're friends. So my ex knew that. He let us hang out a few times. He let Dennis pick me up and then bring me back home. I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, it's like if we're together and then I'm like, hey, I'll be back. My friend's gonna pick me up, and then you don't come with me, and I come back hours later, which one time I actually spent the night with Dennis and his place, and it was just weird, you guys. And it's like, I don't know, it's like almost like he liked me being with another person, but he didn't, because then he got mad and jealous about it. This is Daniel, my 6-year relationship. But anyway, so it wasn't right, but me and Dennis were basically into each other when I was about to leave that relationship, and that's what pushed me to end it quicker, because I just didn't want to do that to him. And I was like, you know what, I came clean to him, and I told him, you know, like, I told him that me and Dennis, I didn't really say that we liked each other and all that. He pretty much put it together, and we had this talk, and he had told me, he goes, I know you guys like each other and whatnot. And it really, you can tell, like, it really hurt him to say that, and to like just say it out loud, I guess, too. But things between me and Dennis didn't work out for too long, because I quickly realized that he was actually mentally unstable, and it's really scary and crazy. There was times where he spent the night over at my place, and to where one time he told me that he thought that his ex was spying on him. And in addition to that, he thought that his ex had planted a listening device in his ear, and he could listen to what he was saying, what he was talking about, all of that. And I guess basically he told me that his ex had done some MK Ultra on him. Basically, honestly, guys, this isn't even a joke. Like, this is literally what he told me. So he was very mentally unstable, and to the point to where, as crazy as this sounds, I actually believed them. And I was just like, you know, I believe them. And I don't know, he just told me that his ex was really something else. And like, his ex was actually really good looking. He showed me a few photos of them, and they were together for a few years, had a house together, everything. Anyway, his ex cheated on him, whatever. He ended up moving to like California, something, you know, it was just like a big mess between him and his ex. So anyway, like I said, things didn't last long between me and Dennis. His instability got really bad mentally, and I started seeing it, and he just started deteriorating. Like, he would just say things, and he would just think things that weren't really going on. You know, he was basically living in different realities than I was, honestly, as crazy as that sounds, but that's literally what happened. One time I woke up to my place to my TV being unplugged, everything was unplugged. Everything electronic was unplugged, and that's because he had unplugged everything, and he told me that because his ex was spying on him. So that's what happened, you guys. And you know, it sounds crazy, absolutely crazy, right? But that's literally what happened. And, you know, things just didn't work out, and I stopped seeing him. And actually after that, he showed up to my place just really not looking well. And I was like, dude, please don't come around. And I made it clear that I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So that ended. I was single, and then again immediately started dating again, and I met Shane. So Shane was somebody I was seeing for a few weeks, months. I still wanted to add him to this list because this was kind of a toxic relationship, and he actually was grown. He was a grown man. Like, I was only in my like mid-20s, and he was like well in his 40s, and he had 3 kids, had been divorced, like just had been lived his life. He was just very controlling, very manipulative. And I know this sounds like a trend, but maybe it is, because I feel like a lot of guys there are controlling and manipulative, especially when they're older. When you're younger and you're dating someone who's older than you, you basically fall victim. You can fall victim into being manipulated and easily influenced into doing whatever the other person wants you to do or whatnot. So anyway, but that's just what I've learned from many experiences. But anyway, you guys, we just had, I would say, kind of an abusive relationship. He was very, very jealous. I remember one time New Year's, we spent New Year's together, and there was a countdown, and he went to the bathroom, and when he came back, I was texting, and I was actually texting one of my aunts that had messaged me, and she was kind of drunk, and I was just saying Happy New Year, you know. And he came back and he saw me on my phone, and he immediately was like, oh, well, you could have just kept on texting, and you didn't have to put away your phone just because of me. And he made a big deal out of it. We got into a fight. We were at a club actually when this happened, so we actually weren't talking. We left. On our way back home, like from the club to my place, when he was gonna drop me off, he decided it was a good idea to start touching, like to start, he thought it was a good idea to get handsy with me in an intimate manner when it was not, it was not welcomed on my part. And I actually told him to stop, and just, I wasn't, like, this was not the right time. We had just gotten into an argument, like, you know what I mean? And he was actually drunk, actually, and I don't even know, you guys, this, so many red flags. I shouldn't have gotten in the car with somebody who was drunk. I shouldn't have let somebody do that to me, and I shouldn't have put myself in that situation, but I did, and look at what happened, you know. So I was really extremely uncomfortable, and I would say that's kind of abusive, you know, when someone's telling you no, like no, and you keep on doing what you're doing. So anyway, and just that didn't really last long, obviously. So after that, I think we got into it again, maybe over something else. Anyway, this guy was just kind of a bad news, and he was like a smart ass. So I don't know, I feel like I could never win, because every time I try to stand up for myself, he was just like, he would always make me into a joke. Basically, I felt like a joke. So anyway, so I ended that, and then again, I was single for a while, because that really, mentally, that really like messed with me, I remember. And so after that, you guys, I stayed single for quite a while, for like at least a year. After that, I basically met a guy named Dave Calabra. And this is very important, because this is probably one of the worst people that I've met in my life, almost. But basically, we were dating for a few months, for like maybe 2 or 3 months, and he lived in St. Louis, like right in downtown area. This guy was, I don't know, he wasn't, to be honest, not to be mean, but he wasn't really extremely good looking, but he was just like cocky. I like that he was forward. He was Italian, so he was just very assertive, you know, with his words, and confident, and I really like that. I think that's very attractive in a guy or in a girl, anybody. Things just, I don't know, it was just, things were weird. He was just kind of an asshole, basically. He was just an asshole. One time I went over to this place, and like we were gonna hang out, and he was just laid down on the couch, and like he was like sprawled out on the couch. So like I wasn't gonna just sit down, because I would have been sitting like right on him. And I guess that's what he wanted. So I was just standing there, and he goes like, you're just gonna stand there, you're gonna sit down? And like, he was kind of a dick about it. And I was just like, whoa, like, it was weird, you guys. And I was just like, damn, like which now that I think about it, it's like, damn, like I feel bad for myself putting myself in that situation, or those situations. For Valentine's Day around that time, I actually got a bear for him on Valentine's Day, and he didn't get me anything. I left the bear in my car because I wasn't sure if he was gonna get me something or not, and he did it. So what happened was, that day when I got back in my car, I got home, took the bear out of my car, brought it home with me, and I kept the bear for myself. Kind of sad story, but so now I have a bear from Valentine's Day of years ago that I bought for somebody else that I ended up keeping for myself. You know, one of the reasons why me and Dave stopped dating basically was one time me and my friend Bobby were going back and forth on Facebook about some song lyrics, and he took it as me and him were flirting, which we weren't. And then he got mad because I wasn't including him in my conversation with my friend Bobby. So he literally got mad at that. And then even my friend Bobby had known him, and I didn't know this, but when I told my friend Bobby that he had gotten mad over me and him talking, he was like, dude, like, I've known him, I just didn't say anything. I just didn't want to be an asshole and be like, oh, this guy's no good, you shouldn't date him. I don't want to be that guy, so I just let you date him, and it is what it is, you know. And I was just like, okay, you know, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your respect and you not saying anything, because that always comes off as a person being a dick when a friend tells you that. Things escalated, me and him got into it, and he ended up telling me that fight that he hopes that my place gets thrown up in a tornado and tossed far away. And so I didn't know what to say on the time, and I just wanted to shoot back at him. So I was just like, oh yeah, and I was like, and then it's gonna land right on your place, like on top of you. So I don't know, that was just a stupid comeback, but you guys, he really pissed me off. And anyway, that was, you know, just really shitty and really disrespectful. So he really showed me his true colors. And in addition to that, months later, I was working at Walmart. This was in the summer. He showed up with his friend, and which he lives like 2 hours away from where I was working. He just showed up specifically to my job just to walk in front of me. And I remember I told my boss, you know, if something happens or if he acts ignorant or I don't know anything, you know, please kick him out. So anyway, he was being watched that day. After that, I was single for a while because I was just sick and tired of dating, sick and tired of being hurt, sick and tired of being manipulated, lied to, treated like shit. And I was just like, I'm just gonna be single for a while, you know. And I basically started camping. I started taking trips. I really started just dating myself, trying to love myself, trying to figure out what I like to do. I realized that I love to go camping. I love the outdoors, hiking. To this day, that's what I love to do very, very much. I gave it a break about, I want to say maybe a year. So, and then 2019, I met Dan. So Dan was a really sweet guy. We were together for 4 months almost. And sweetest guy almost that I've ever dated, honestly. And I remember the Valentine's Day we were together. He actually went, like, he put petals on the bed, and he bought all sorts of snacks, which I love, sour gummy bears and stuff like that. So he bought a bunch of snacks for us, put on candles. Like, he made it extremely romantic. This relationship was one of the most beautiful relationships I've had. And thankfully, I learned a lot about what I like, what I want in a guy, what I like in a relationship, what I don't like in a relationship. And me and Dan were doing really good. We were together for a few months, and I don't know, I have nothing bad to say about him at all whatsoever, because he's a sweetheart. We have kept in contact recently, like last year, stuff like that. So anyway, you know, I'm always hoping he's doing good. So if Dan, if you're watching this, shout out to you for being a good guy, you know what I'm saying? The reason I basically broke up with him was, I remember just kind of, I feel bad saying this, but I remember like he would just be affectionate with me, and you can tell that I was like annoyed. You can tell like in my face, you know what I mean? I just didn't want to be affectionate as much towards the end. And I don't know, I guess I didn't like him as much as I did at the beginning. I don't know what it was. I still don't know what it is to this day, because sometimes I like wonder, and I'm like, you know, like, damn dude, like this guy was really cool, really everything, respectful. He really, really liked me for me, not for my physical body, not for anything else, for me. And I really appreciate that. And I just didn't think that somebody could do that, or like really see the inner part of myself and who I really was and who I really am as a person, than just physical. because most guys nowadays, they just jump in bed with you and then they think that that's love. And I feel like as gay men, we're confusing love and lust, very much so. Because aside from that, things just didn't work out. So I ended things with him in April. And after that, I just, again, started traveling, started camping, doing my own thing, really loved myself, really grown, especially too, in a lot of ways. And I basically just grew to love myself and be happily single. And to this day, I am happily single. I don't ever stop believing in love because I'm a hopeless romantic. So I do hope one day that I meet somebody that just like, you know, that's awesome and amazing and has all those great qualities and really just is not just lustful, you know, and actually wants to build something beautiful. Well, one of the few things that I've learned specifically from my long-term relationship is the grass isn't always greener on the other side. That's for damn sure. I don't really believe that you can love somebody the same as you did your first time, because the first time you love, just you go all in, right? You love somebody and then that's it. You know, the second time you're a lot more leery. So I don't believe that I just believe that you have one love of your life and that's about it. You know, you may be able to love another person or another person after that. I do think that, but I feel like as far as like your love of your life, you only get one, you know? So anyway, I learned that you should handle yourself in a way that just don't rely on other people for anything, really, even if a guy is offering something, even because the problem with that is they're going to want something in return after at some point. And even as little as like going out to dinner sometimes, and even a guy just wants to pay and it's just like, yeah, he wants to pay, but then he's probably going to want to take you back to his place and fool around or drive you back home and try to be weird and
like you being weird.
Don't go against yourself for me.
What are you talking about? Stop being weird.
Like, don't do something that's not you for me.
Don't do that.
But I would do that normally for anybody, not just you.
And that's weird.
Be a creep and like just, I don't know, get close to you or like want to make it into something intimate, you know what I mean? And let's be real, that's what it is, especially in this gay community that we're in. I feel like a lot of guys, again, we confuse love and lust. Totally different things. My advice to anyone who's dating or is looking to date is to just first love yourself. First, know what you have to offer to the other person. You know, have your own stuff, have your own shit, like for real. Have your own, like I feel so good having my own place, having my own stuff, my own car, and it feels good to have all those things because you meet somebody else and who has their stuff together as well, and it's nice, you guys. It's really refreshing to meet somebody who has their stuff together and also their head right in their shoulders. Is because a lot of times I feel like a lot of guys don't have their shit together and don't have their head right on their shoulders. So unfortunately, that's just the world we live in today. So anyway, you guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part series on my dating history. It's been a lot. I dated a lot of people. I've learned a lot through my lifetime. I'm only 32 years old, but I'm still learning and still growing. Still learning to let things go as well. But that's, you know, quite difficult, as we all know. So that's it, you guys. Thank you for watching. Please, please like and subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps my channel grow. So that's it, you guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Take care.